While this movie was delayed for 2 years, I also feel like it went through multiple title changes. Do we want to call it a Wonder Story, White Bird, White Bird, a Wonder Story, or just simply White Bird because they want to connect it to a franchise, but does it really need to be? Let's find out. Chase Lee Hockey here with the Blue Futon reviewing White Bird. So what's this about? Pretty simple premise. Did you watch Wonder? It's the movie with Owen Wilson and Julia Roberts about their kid has a deformity, and there's one boy that got kicked out of that school because of the bullying, and now he's at a new school, and now his grandma needs to tell a story about kindness and love to prove a point that, you know what, maybe you shouldn't be a bully, you're wrong, and let's talk about my childhood in France during World War II. So, did I like this film? I don't know. It's interesting because you think it would have been delayed because of reshoots, because of budgetary concerns, but no, it looks like it was just mostly delayed because of, the strike happened and they thought they would make more money by delaying it, and then more delays as well of just realizing what we should do with this movie. What should we market it as? Because I think that's what the most confusing thing was, is what is this movie? Is it a movie? Is it a Wonder prequel? Is it a Wonder sequel? Is it a spin-off? Or does it want to be its own freaking film? So when talking about the pauses, I do think the actual storytelling is unique and different, of talking about these kids, trying to escape Nazism and having these also just asshole classmates, kind of going to the Nazi side and trying to do this cat and mouse chase. Of course, it's overall a love story of kindness and the arching heart of it, and that's the main movie. The main movie is talking about what's happening in France, while sprinkled in all the stuff that is happening at the school and Helen Mirren, trying to tell this story. So when we were in France talking about this story, that's when it was best, even though I'd say 90% of the movie is that, and I'm okay with that. Even though there were some things that really didn't make sense. So that was good. The look of the movie, pretty damn good. When we were doing, the chase sequences, or, the production design of the barn, the costumes, and getting to know these characters, I think it does a pretty good job, even though it does feel like some of the characters are superficial, especially this underground movie bunker. I was like, okay, what can this turn into? And it really doesn't turn into anything. Could we have gotten more side stories with some of these high schoolers or junior high schoolers? Maybe, but I understand why they didn't want to do it. But at the meat of that message of kindness, it is fine. It does its job well. What the story just completely loses me with is this wolf scene, which is just like, comes out of nowhere. I'm sorry. Yes, I understand what you're trying to say, but you're like, that makes no sense of how this would actually go down. And there's also a underlining message of this movie where this girl knows she's greedy. The girl knows she's heartless is the wrong word, but selfish might be the right word, right? And so there's a fight about an hour into the movie. Basically, he is like, look, we're trying to help you. You're being selfish. All you care about is yourself. Because girl, if you get caught, my parents die and I die as well, so you need to start thinking about more than yourself. And you're thinking, okay, that's a good message through this movie. But then I would say about 30 minutes later into the movie, she does something completely selfless, or selfish, if you want to put it that way, and you're just like, are really? That's your plan. That's your plan, to run through the woods like that, which leads to the wolf scene. And that whole scenario really just pissed me off. Because at a point, it's like, fight back. For this whole time, you've been in a barn for a freaking year, and this is your time to fight back to prove a point. And you don't. It's that fight or flight sense, which it just frustrates me, where some people are like, yo, people are killing my kind, aka the Jews, but I'm just going to still submit. And it reminds me of the movie 3 Identical Strangers, where I don't know what it is, but it's not the Jewish community, but it's like the Jewish community saw what happened in World War II, right? And you know what they do? They experiment on themselves to these kids. It's almost the same way where they want punishment on some level. So I know that sounds awful, but it's like one of the things where it's like just like, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing? You know for a fact if you get caught, you're dead. You know for a fact if you run, they have guns. It's like, at least try to fight back. Try to do something to prove your point or prove who you are, because you literally had this argument saying, I'm a selfish person. And then you run away because you're selfish. I know you're scared, but at a point, it's like, look, you got to do something. So that bothered me. Also, what bothered me is this weird side stories of when we were in today's day and age about Helen Mirren's character telling about her art and social justice. And at this private high school, apparently everyone in this fucking high school are social justice warriors, because everyone's handing these pamphlets out. I mean, there's thousands of pamphlets, but I swear to God, like 100 students. It's like, if you're social justice and you're all about saving causes, save some paper. I mean, save some paper. It's like, come on now, what are we doing here? And I just think connecting this to Wonder is just so freaking odd. And I think that's what's baffling to me, is that the stretches are just way out there of what they're trying to tell with this movie. Like, and I think that's why at the very core they got rid of a Wonder story, because I think they realized, yes, it's kind of a multiverse movie with Wonder, but it really doesn't connect at all, because this is a very different movie, just about kindness. I think it's about kindness, but the more you think about the movie, it's like, is it though, or is it more messaging overall? Like, it's just a weird movie. It's just a weird, like, I wonder how the producers, like, spun this to the executives saying, yo, you know that Wonder movie that's about this kid with a deformity and him, like, you know, positivity? Nazis. You're just like... So overall, White Bird, even though the title of the movie is like, it doesn't correlate with anything. I understand the symbolism, but it's like, come on now. Anyway, White Bird, it's a fine movie. Like, I thought I was actually going to be bored with this movie. I won't lie, the first 30 minutes I was like, what are we trying to do? But then it finally picks up, and it's a good second act, good third act, but it's overall just a weird experience. Like, there's nothing that, like, ragingly wrong with this movie, but it just feels odd. And that's kind of a weird sentiment. So White Bird will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals that 60%. Let's see the critics and news scores gave this one. So no audience score, but for the critics, there's 3 of them, and we have a positive from Variety, a positive from Loud and Clear Reviews, and a positive from Jerusalem Post. So 3 positives right now. Interesting. In my 60. Chase Slack here, the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One of the things, Blue Futontopia. You Blue Futon today, watch a great day. I can watch this tape tomorrow, week from a month, on a year from every single freaking one of you. And if you waited 2 years for this movie, congratulations, it's finally out.